All right, next up on the show is Paraic Mulgrew, the owner of Night Watch Games. Paraic specializes in game design and community building, which is a fantastic combination. So, Paraic, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So, you guys have won the Gamma, is that?
Gamma, yeah.
Gamma Power Retailer Award in 2019, 2020 winner of the current Best of San Antonio Award, and 2021 winner of the Express News Readers Choice Award. So congratulations on all of that. So obviously this is cool. My daughter's super excited about wanting to go visit your space. We've never been there. We're definitely going to make a stop by there. What was the inspiration for creating this type of business?
While Brenda and I were in the Army and we were traveling the world, one of the things that we would do to every new spot was go visit the game store of that town. And usually there was only one. And resoundingly, the experience was that when we walked back out of that store, we always said to each other, we could have done that better. They had a lot of potential of space or ambiance or whatever, and they just didn't realize it or they didn't pursue it. And we felt really disappointed in what we thought the relationship should be between us and that store. And it was really sterile and really disappointing. So that was the experience that was really in the last 15 to 20 years of game store hopping. And then when we got out of the Army, we really asked ourselves what's next for us. And it was Brenda's idea to say, well, let's build a game store. And I said, honey, that's the kind of conversation you have when you've won $1 million. You know, what are you going to do with $1 million? And we had not won $1 million. So I thought it was kind of a ludicrous idea at first, but she persuaded me with her past experiences as a restaurant manager and a business associate for Bill Miller's up at the executive level. And then my gaming experience, the two of us combined could get some good results. And we liquidated everything we owned to put into the store. And that's sort of one of the charms of the stores. As you walk in, it feels really homey because it's literally pieces of my home. Oh, wow. The rugs are out of my living room. Some of the tables are out of my dining room. The wall decor was out of my living room. So you really get the sense that this is not, the relationship that you have with the store is not a retail relationship. And I think that was actually some of the basis of our really rampant success, is that the relationship between the consumer and the seller didn't focus on that. And gamers, they're sort of a disenfranchised demographic. They're always looking for a belonging. And that was the disappointing thing that we experienced, was there was no home for them. There was a place for them to shop. And sometimes, if they were lucky, there were fold-out tables and chairs for them to actually play the game. But there was nothing that really empowered their interests. It was just this kind of, I'll serve you and you can buy from me, but that's the end of it. Whereas I wanted a space where they came in and they felt legitimized in this very niche-y type of interest. And interestingly, that whole industry is blowing up. I think hopefully that's a good thing for most of us. One, it's becoming more mainstream because the mainstream message and the genres that are being presented on the big screen are these kind of things like superheroes and fantasy. Dungeons and Dragons just came out with their movie, Game of Thrones on TV. So all these kind of what used to be very niche-y, weird type of subject matter is now mainstream. So you now have mainstream people like yourself who are now curious enough to come visit a space. And my job, I think, is to make that space as inviting and tempting as possible. And I can't do that with just selling merchandise to you.
So the name, is it from Game of Thrones?
I have a funny story about that. Disclaimer, totally not true, but here's the story. George R.R. Martin called me one day and he said, hey, I'm writing this story and I have this sort of cabal of people that protect the North Wall and I want to name them after your store. I want to call them the Night Watchers or the Night's Watch. And I said, okay, George, you can do that, but on a couple of conditions. One, you have to have wolves in the story because I have two large dogs at the store and they're wolf dogs. Two, you have to sort of change it. It can't be Night Watch. It has to be something else. And he said, well, I'll do Night's Watch. I said, all right, that's good enough, George. I said, but here's the big one. You have to have a character in the story that's named after me. And he said, all right, I can do that. I said, and that character has to be really good with the ladies. And sure enough, there's a character in the story called Podrick which is my name with the D in the middle. And he is pretty good with the ladies.
Yeah, because you don't want to piss off your wife, and your business partner. By the way, let's go back a little bit because Marc, how do you feel about being called mainstream?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely mainstream. I'll take that all day and twice on Sunday.
Yeah. By the way, there's an award that you don't even know you won. It's the Sharkmatic Advertising. Oh yeah, that's a cool store award because I asked all my employees are between early 20s to very early 30s. And on Thursday night at my office, we host game night. They don't invite me. They ask me to buy the beer, but I don't get to participate. And they have all their cards. They all, I don't know exactly what happens because I don't have cameras in there, but they play games and they go out to gaming stores and buy. And I said, oh, have you heard of, Night's Watch Games? Oh yeah, that's a cool store.
That's our demographic.
Cool
interestingly, when most people think about gaming, they think about children gaming. And also there's the idea that gaming is always electronic. You have consoles and, a screen in front of your face. This gaming is actually adult-oriented gaming, and it's all analog so that you're at the table and you're interacting with a human, and there's an energy to that interaction that does not transfer to electronic gaming. So we really focus on that, and so it's your peers sitting at the table. You'll see your dentist sitting down, and he's playing with cards, and then there's another person that you recognize from school who is moving meeples around a board game, and it's a different environment for people that are looking to become gamers, and that's one of our missions is really to convert people that are ignorant of what gaming is and show them the vast potential of it. And again, legitimize it, make it cool, make it something that you're not ashamed of doing.
So, other than going in and meeting people and playing games, what else do you expect what do you expect when people walk into the store? Do people bring their own beverages? Do you provide them? Can people bring their own food? Is it like a living room? Is there what's kind of like a typical?
A little bit of all of that. The store model or the business model for games is now to incorporate some type of eatery inside, a cafe or something. One, it's good for business because you keep now customers at your table and they tend to spend more while they're there. But two, it also enhances the ambiance of the space. And our ambiance is a very medieval slant towards your surroundings. It looks like you're actually in a medieval keep when you're inside. There's weapons and armor on the wall, and like I said, the wolf dogs are hanging out, and you have these long banquet tables that look like you're in a grand hall of a castle. And our eatery, and here's the dovetail, our eatery is called the Scullery, and it's really this very small space that is highly utilitarian in every inch of what it does, and we serve food. And again, this is echelons above what we'd call gamer food. It's not Cheetos and Mountain Dew. It's paninis and baked potatoes and shrimp cocktail and all these things that you wouldn't expect in a game store. And then we elevate it even more by serving it on horn plates with wrought iron utensils, and the people serving you are in sort of these Viking outfits. So the whole thing is very immersive. We really would like our customers, when they come in, to forget about the real world. Forget about those taxes that you guys love talking about. I hate talking about that stuff. Give me dragons and elves and dwarves every day. And that's what the space does, is it divorces those real world stressors and puts you in a setting where you can really just commune with other people and using games as the lubricant to do it. And it's really a good time. We have people stay there for 12 hours. I almost want to charge them rent because they're living there.
You pay by the hour, right?
Yeah.
So obviously your place is going to have an impact on people. So how has it really, your store, give us an example of how it's changed the lives of your patrons?
So yeah, I was referring to the relationship between the store and the customer base and how it has to transcend just a buyer-seller, because Amazon does that, and Amazon does it better than I do it. So why would I compete in that arena? So a store, a communal store like that, has to offer something that Amazon doesn't, and that's the human connection and the relationship. And to show how profound Night Watch Games has impacted people on that level, we have numerous life events that happen inside the walls that you wouldn't expect. The first one that's kind of predictable is birthdays. We have some private rooms that you can rent, so people will rent the room and have a birthday party. And again, these are the adults having the birthday, not the kids. We're like full-grown, professional, white-collar workers having a birthday surrounded by games in a private room. But we've also had baby showers, bachelorette parties, bachelor parties. One of our gamers came in and celebrated his divorce. We've had 5 different customers get on their knee and propose to their future spouse in the store. And all of those were positive experiences. 3 of those, we actually did a full-blown wedding in the store, full procession. I actually got ordained because somebody wanted me to preside over it. So I'm now Lord Reverend Mulgrew. That's official, my title. And then to bring that whole life cycle full circle, we've celebrated 2 memorials. Unfortunately, one of our customers was a suicide, and then another one was a COVID casualty. But the family said, let's celebrate their life in the space they were happiest. And that was Night Watch Games. That's not typical retail. That's not GameStop. That's not anything that you would normally expect. So there's a magic almost happening within the walls of Night Watch Games that totally transcends what you would normally think you're walking into. And that's the hook, is once you get a sense of that feel, you want to be a part of it. And then gaming in all its different forms are just the lubricant for us to connect with other humans. And COVID, we talk about, the effect of pandemics on business. We had the same kind of panic reaction. Is like, oh, we're a communal business. We're hamstrung. What are we going to do? But we had such a vibrant relationship with the community that they would shop through us in any means possible. Curbside assistance, remote selling, just to keep us alive. And I remember some people sending us money through our online service, and I'd call them saying, hey, you sent me $200, but I'm not sure what the product is that you bought. And they would say, I didn't buy anything.
No.
I just want you to have $200 to stay alive.
Wow.
And we actually thrived through the COVID era. It was really fascinating and almost like heartwarming that when you're down, there's a community that if you serve them right, will rally behind you.
Yeah. Paraic, this is a good example of what I tell my clients after having been in marketing now for 35 years, and I've worked with 1,500 clients. I tell them, find your point of differentiation. Yeah. Not just a neat slogan. It's not just something you wrote up in your business plan, but what is your USP, your unique selling proposition? Because if not, you're just like everybody else. Yep. And if you're just like everybody else, to your point with Amazon, somebody's going to do it better than you are.
Yep.
And if you're like everybody else and you have other people doing it better, guess what? You're null and void.
Yeah.
You're no longer relevant or necessary in the marketplace.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you're unique, if you're different, if you're better at something and you meet clients where they are, especially at something that a big multi-billion-dollar multinational corporation can't do, and that's your unique selling proposition, then guess what? Now you're going to build clients and fans for life.
When you're dealing with communal things and you have that differentiation, I have discovered that that differentiation is directly rooted to the values of the store owner, the store designer, or the company owner. And the values are something that if you're aware of, it can really fuel the differentiators. Is how do you deal with your customers? Who are your customers? And what is the product that you're trying to do with them? All that is, I think, an extension of values. And even in kitchen design, I think that you probably bring a lot of you into the decisions of the kitchen, but then even more, you're probably aware of the values of the family that you're designing for, and therefore the space starts reflecting those values.
Yeah. Yes. So I named my company Younique Designs because I design specific for the individual and not try and put my stamp on it, and it sounds like, we're talking about environment, and environment is everything, right? And I feel like that's why your clientele has made such a connection with your business.
There's a certain clientele that values environment. I find that gamers have a lot of bad habits or a bad culture that they're derived from. And so there are older gamers that usually come into Night Watch Games and they see this amazing environment, and there's an unspoken relationship of, you need to take care of this because it's more than just folding tables and folding chairs. So be nice to the setting. There's some older gamers that just don't want to deal with that. That's not the gaming tradition that they come up with. And so they actually reject Night Watch Games. As good as it is, they reject it because it's just not the relationship that they want. And so the newer gamers, the younger gamers, the college-age students generally will come in and they don't have those bad history of what gaming is. And so we can mold them and infuse the love of gaming with a blank slate.
Yeah, and then they grow up thinking this is the way it should have been all along everywhere you go because they haven't. But yeah, you're right. Consumers come jaded. I don't care how good you are. There's always going to be somebody who doesn't like you.
Yeah.
Get used to it. Get a thick skin. I tell people all the time. If not, don't go into entrepreneurship. Because if you want everybody to love you and love your business and love your store or whatever, you're going to get that bad review of somebody that just doesn't get it, that just puts up something stupid and whatever it is. So, I like to say individuals are smart and kind, but the masses are asses.
Absolutely.
So
Find your tribe.
Exclude those. Right. Find your tribe. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
But there's no downside to being unique and different. There is a big downside to being average and ordinary.
Agreed.
And if you're average and ordinary, you're going to get the same thing that everybody else got and don't complain.
Yep. Indeed. So we've made some waves and we've set that standard. And I think that's why we won some of the awards we do. And the people in the industry, again, either love us or hate us. They hate us because we've raised the bar and they can't measure up and they're feeling the pressure. But
they should just be inspired in a little.
I hope that's what we would like, is just to be an inspiring force of what makes gaming what it is, and how do you make the relationship between humans better through that type of interaction.
Yeah,
everybody loves Cheers. You know that old show Cheers, where everybody knows your name. There's a certain culture. You walk in. It resonates, right? People know your name. They feel comfortable there. They like the other patrons that are there. That's what. Yeah. But you don't find that often now in retail.
Let me tell one quick story. I'll keep it real quick, but it illustrates that very fact. Is we had one of our gamers call me at around 1 a.m. It was almost 2 a.m. Answered the phone, and he says, "Hey, I've just been carjacked." And I said, "Whoa, are you all right?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm all right." I said, Are you stranded? Can I come pick you up or something?" And he said, "No, they actually carjacked me right outside of my apartment, so I'm at home." And I said, "Well, have you called the police?" And he said, "No, not yet." And it dawned on me. I said, his first call was to me, his game store owner. I thought, wow, okay, well, let's get you squared away and get the police involved. And sure enough, all that panned out the way you would expect. And then a member of our community heard that he had gotten carjacked, and the really sad part of the story was his games were in the trunk. So he lost all his games. And so the community, without any prompting from me, made a fundraiser. And they raised $3,000 and they gifted it to this guy so that he could get a new car or get new games or whatever he wanted to do with it. And the interesting thing about that is the people that donated the money, they didn't know him. They weren't game friends with him. They just knew he was a night watcher, and a night watcher was in need.
That's pretty good.
You don't
community.
Find that at
created
GameStop.
a community.
Yeah, it's amazing.
There's no correlation between you guys and GameStop. I mean, there's like no soul over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's soul here. There's a big difference. All right, if people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
We have a couple of outlets. We have a Facebook page, Night Watch Games on Facebook, and we have a community page on Facebook called Night Watchers. And then we have www.nightwatchgames.com. We also have an Instagram channel. We have our own podcast, Night Watch Games Podcast. Nice. And then we would really prefer that you just come in the store so we can meet you in person.
Cool.
Yeah.
You can apply to be one of our Night Watchers.
I can't wait to go check it out.
Oh, you'll love it. We have a program called Ladies Night Out every other Thursday. It's a sort of a female-centric setting where my wife and a bevy of coaches take pods of women and teach them how to play games. And because it's one of those demographics that's sort of been disenfranchised and overshadowed by the male ego, we're actively trying to wrestle that back so that we empower women to sit at game tables and enjoy what they're doing on very equal footing. And so
you just described the construction industry.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. And it's blown up. It started with 7 ladies, and now it sells out. It's like a 45-person event. And it's so big now we stopped selling tickets to it. We just open it up.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
You are more than welcome
I'm scared
to
to bring my 17-year-old son, though. I think
That's
I'll
good
never
enough.
see him
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Marc, I'm kind of inspired by these two. May I close with a little quote?
Sure. Right.
If you're not living your mission statement, it's useless.
Yeah.
How many people write it out on their website? And you guys are living in this.
Thank you.
Love it.
All right, as we wrap up the show, quick reminder, check out our latest podcast and catch video version of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. Great job, everybody. That's going to do it for this week.